Film is not just VFX, nice shots or good sound design. It is the story. It is the visual story which you can tell, because the film is the visual art to tell a story. Hello, I'm Alex, I'm a filmmaker and cinematographer. We are going to go in depth on making a short film from the idea until the final product. We are going to go in depth into the pre-production, the actual shooting, and of course the post-production. First of all, you need an idea to make the characters, to make the first action which determines the characters to do something. To find this idea, try to watch a movie or maybe read a book, because this is one of the most important parts of your short film. This idea should make the audience want to see your movie. After you have this initial idea, you need to start adding other things, other actions, other characters to your idea. After you have a small clue of what you want to have into your film, you need to make it using the 3-act structure. The 3-act structure is the most known structure for a film scenario. What you need for that is to make in the first act some action that should determine the character to do something. In the second act, there should be multiple actions and multiple clues to the main subject to help him find the solution. And in the third act, there should be a final battle, a final scene, which should be the most epic, the most interesting part of your film, and then the film ends. This is the 3-act structure. After you mapped your idea into this structure, you can start making your scenario. Also, don't forget the most important part. In the second act, there should be some changes. A character goes from good to the bad side. After you have your scenario, give it to your family or maybe to a friend to see if, as example in a comedy, they laugh at your jokes, to see if the audience would like your film idea. After all this is done, we are going to the pre-production. In the pre-production, you need to think about the location where you are going to film, but also about the gear that you should take with you on the actual shooting. First of all, the location. You need to think about the perfect location where you should film. Also, you need to think about the space for your gear, for other crew members which should be on the shooting, so that you have enough space and enough room for placing every camera and every light. Also, don't forget to check if there is allowed to film something there. After that, you need to try to find the perfect crew members if you're not filming it alone, to see if the actors have time, or if you're filming with your family or friends, then if they have time and that everyone can go to that location. After you found the right place, everyone has time, and also the weather for your story allows, it's time to find the right gear. First of all, the camera and the lens you should take. But also try to get also a second lens, because can have some problems, or maybe you need a different focal length, a different aperture, so that you have especially every type of lens which you can use. This goes also for microphones and lights, because some decisions can be made right on the actual shooting and you need to be prepared for this. Also, don't forget the most important part, which is the battery. Every camera, every drone, light and so on should have a full charged battery. To not have to wait until a battery is fully charged and only then to waste the time also of the other crew members. And also, one tip is to prepare your gear one day before the actual shooting, so that you can be sure that every part of your camera, your batteries, microphones, lights and so on are perfectly put together. And also, one extra tip, if you have an older gimbal or an older camera which you use just for special shots, you need to check if it's functioning really well. And also, for gimbals and other things, try to recalibrate them before the actual shooting, so that you don't waste time when you are filming to calibrate the gimbal or maybe see if something doesn't work. What you should also take is a laptop which has an SD card reader, so that you can see what your camera has captured. because maybe you aren't sure if there is too much noise or it's too dark or maybe too bright, and you can't see exactly on the camera monitor, even if you have a bigger monitor on top of your camera. Now everything is prepared, the scenario, the gear, and the perfect timing. Now it's time to start shooting. And for the shooting, remember one thing: you should go a little bit before the actors if you are that man with the gear, because you should be prepared when they come to have more time to shoot. The most important thing is to take more footage than you actually need. Sometimes you can add more footage to make your film longer. You can add it into the intro or maybe outro, and always there can be some place for that part of footage. One tip is, if you're having a drone and there is some outside walks without any dialogue or something like that, try to make it from a drone to give different angles, because if there isn't any speech, the audience can focus on other things which can again tell a story. And if you're filming with just one camera, try to retake that action over and over again to have multiple angles, maybe multiple focal lengths, to have a variety of shots into the editing room. And now let's go into the editing room to see what we shot. Now we are here into the post-production, or like many says, the editing room. Here we can add lots of creativity into our film, because we have lots of freedom. If we shot some scenes on multiple angles, on multiple focal lengths, we have the creative choice or by changing the focal length, by making your own edit, and also by making the sound design. First of all, what I'm usually doing is to make a rough edit of the film, and I'm also labeling with colors every shot that should have a special sound design, some special effects, and so on. After that, I'm going through the film and I'm deleting every sound clip that I don't need. If there is an actual recording of that sound, if I'm creating fully, or maybe if I'm adding sound design. I'm always recording them separately so that I can delete almost the entire sound of the film and I have just the video. After that, I'm starting, depending on the film, maybe with the VFX or maybe the sound design. The VFX aren't the most important part of your film, of course, if it's not just a film just with VFX. But you should remember that the second most important part in the film is the sound. You should pay very much attention. Usually when I'm making a bigger short film or maybe a bigger film, I'm always making the sound designs on the speakers, on actual speakers, because they have a much greater sound, so that I know if you are playing from a phone that quality will not degrade after that. What I'm mentioning by this is, if I'm playing this clip on a high-end speaker, then there can be some sort of noise, some sort of things, some sort of errors that I didn't notice on my cheap earphones. So that's why I'm always making the sound design on better speakers, so that I know that even if I'm playing again on better speakers, or maybe if I'm playing on a phone, I have the best quality that I can get from that device. While sound designing, I'm making some folders, because sometimes there are some sound effects which I'm going to use also in some other scenes. But after the sound design is ready and also the VFX, now it's time for the color correcting. Here, if there is a smaller film or a small short film, something like that, then I'm just putting an adjustment layer over my footage and I'm color correct directly on that. But if there is a more important video, I'm usually making the color correction on every shot separately to get the perfect feeling. And also don't forget that through color correcting, sound design and VFX, you can tell your own story in the editing room. After all this is done, it's time for the intro animation and maybe the outro animation. These are very, very important, because if you're not making them good enough, if they don't tell a story which your film should be about, then you can risk that the audience will be bored and will not know about what will be your film. Try through everything to tell a story, through the color correction, through the sound design, through the VFX and so on, not just through the video that was captured on the shooting. One of my biggest mistakes when I started out was that I made animation just for the sake that I make animations into my film, which isn't good. It will not tell a story about what will be my film. But the most important part is, if you're or even a camera guy, sound guy with lighting, or maybe in the editing room, you have your creative freedom. That's the most important part when you're making a short film. Every crew member should have their own creativity part into your short film. Because that's why I love making short films or maybe videos, because there is no creative limit when you're making films, animations, or sound design. There you can go as creative as possible in every part of the filmmaking industry. And after all this is done, you can start exporting your film. What I'm usually doing is to first export it to 720p so that I can show it to my family or maybe to some friends to see their feedback, if they see any mistakes that I didn't saw when I was editing, to have enough time to make it again so that I can show the final product only if it's perfect. And now we came to the end. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you learned something new.